of the loss that we had and all the young people that we had. And I know many of you don't know, including some of the that wasn't around, but for over 10 years, we had 160 folk members, and then we had over 200 folk that showed up every month. And mostly all of them were young people, so you couldn't appreciate it. And those around, they know, because a lot of them, they were young. And at times I couldn't even appreciate it, but I always reached my heart out to them because we had so many of them. And because I saw the future, because children are our future, but when they're around, they're still a part of our present. And I used to remember, my mind was just going back, and I remember we would go and we would take them with us, and we would go to other churches when I had to preach, and we would hear that it don't look like they much or nothing. And then all of a sudden we go into another building and just say, my Lord, it's a lot of us. And it was sad in my mind. I said, man, it was sad that I couldn't even appreciate how much and what we had until we in somebody else don't see how it fills up. Because we had a lot of young people. We had 120 that was 18 and under 18, and then we had 140 that was under 25. That's all of them, the 18, and then the rest of it was just all of us that was over that. And kids, they were evangelized. Man, every week they were always bringing their friends, always bringing somebody. And adults, we grow up and all of a sudden we lose that. And we hardly invite anybody, but every week we always had new people visit because the kids wouldn't invite them. And then all of a sudden, we're adults. And even when we had all the kids, we hardly had nobody to help us out with them, other than Brother Stewart and every now and then with Sister Remain, because nobody wants to deal with them. And I constantly keep seeing all through the church world as I travel, the two most forsaken group of people are our children and our adults. Our elderly. And the one thing is that you were a child and God bless you to live, you will become an elderly person. I have a tremendous heart for all people. And I pray that God bless us to have enough people that before I get to be old, and you get to be old, that we got enough things going on where we can make sure that we take care of our elderly. No, we got to take care of all the elders, but just take care of the ones in our midst. You know, when they can't do stuff, we got people over there going and doing stuff for them, fixing stuff for them, doing things of that nature. I pray that we blessed enough where we can pay folk to just do stuff like that. But if not, volunteer, and we do. Because guess what? One day you're going to get old. And God is not mocked. What you sow, you reap. And I can tell you without a doubt, when you get old, the people that you help the most are normally not the ones that are there for you. It's the ones that you treated the worst. And I think about that when I say it, and I say it with love and I say it with respect, but I think about my mother-in-law and how she treated her daughter not good at all. But the one that ended up had to take care of her was her daughter that she didn't treat. Because she went all out for her baby son, spoiled the mess out of her. And all of them, from Brother Williams and everybody know that whenever he showed up, they know that he was collecting. That was the only reason he was showing up. It was so he could collect, you know, until everybody got to know that, you know. But the one that was taking care of her, they wouldn't give her nothing. But she would sacrifice and give up. I mean, you don't take that to heart. You don't get mad with that. You just do your job because that's what God called you to do. He said, honor your mother and your father. He didn't say that they had to treat you right. He said, honor your mother and your father, and honor your mother and father, not just giving them honor, but it means to provide and take care of them. You take care of them financially. And so I'm very, very, very grateful. And I can tell you it wasn't easy. You know, Because when we went to do so, my darling sweetheart, she didn't want to do it. This is, my mom come live with me. I don't want that. I said with love, but I'd rather be yours than mine. But the reality was, as I said, the reality is that I said to her, she's going to end up coming to us no matter what. Because as you're looking at across the I'm trying to think of the right word, but across the land, you're surveying everything. You say, look, she's going to end up in our lap anyhow. So you might as well just grab her now. Because I looked into her eyes right after my father had passed away, which was happened to be her father. And when he had passed, and I looked into mom's eyes and I saw she was lost. At that time, we didn't know that she had dementia. But I just saw that in her eyes, I saw she was lost. I said, sweetheart, we got to get her out and we got to take her, because I just saw it. It took a little while for us to find out that she ended up having dementia. I said, because I would rather take her now than when we continue in our life and you're not used to having her, and then all of a sudden now she's forced into your life. It disrupts it so badly. But if she's already there, she's not disrupting our lives so bad. And she took care of her mom real good. And she got to get the mom that she didn't get when she was growing up. And she loved on her mom in spite of the fact her mom did not love on her the way that she needed to when she was growing. We need to know how to take care of our elderly, but we also need to know how to take care of our kids, these little ones. That's why the Bible, he blesses us. We take care of the orphans and so forth and so on, because we need to take care of the children and we need to take care of the elderly. But I watch this, so many of us, man, we just so caught up in ourselves until we don't open our hearts for nothing outside of ourselves. And then whenever it is, it's got to be around, we don't know how to inconvenience our lives in order to make other people's life better. And when I was young, people was around all the time, and you listen to all adults just complain. Just complain about it. Not knowing the history of what that they are actually, some of their parents literally is beating them like they the enemy on the street. And this is coming from their own parents. Beat them till blood come out of them. Cuss them out just like they were some enemy on the street. And all of on and on, the list goes on. And some of them, so many of them, the only decent meal they got is when they came here every Sabbath. Because a lot of our young people did not come from out here in the county from which we reside as a congregation. We were pulling right out of Baltimore City. And I can tell you without a doubt, there's a difference between the mindset of those in Baltimore City and those out here in the county. There's a difference in the mindsets of basketball players that's in the city of Baltimore versus those out in the county. I know I grew up in the city and I played with them. There's a lot of stuff you got to go through in order to become great and good. And it ties in a little bit what we're going to talk about today in regard to it. But one thing for sure, there's a process that we all got to go through. And I pray that this process that we need to go through in order to become what we need to be as individuals and then as a congregation, that we allow ourselves to go through the process. Today I want to talk about is the law process. Leaderships develop daily, not in a day. And the scripture reference 2 Corinthians 3rd chapter, verse 17, 18, that we're being transformed from one degree of glory to another degree of glory by the Spirit of Adonai, the Spirit of the Lord. We are transformed from one degree of glory to another. Father, I pray you illuminate our minds to grasp the things that we will talk about today. Open our hearts and our minds to see and to comprehend and to understand like we have never understood. And I thank you for this in the name of your Son, Yeshua our Messiah. Amen. Although it's true that some people are born with greater natural gifts than others, the ability to lead is really a collection of skills, nearly all of which can be learned, say learned, and improved, say improved. But the process does not happen overnight. Whether it be dealing with the first one we talked about, dealing with the law of the lid, what caps off, where you capped off, and you've been in the business, so where you at, you on the job and work field, where you at, and where you constantly keep capping, all financially. That's the law of the lid. It's just no matter what job you go, no how much you constantly always making 50,000. 10 years later, you're still making 50,000. You capped off. Inflation went up, but your paycheck hasn't, because the skills and things in regard to the law leading you just has not improved. But let's say 20 years later, you end up making 60,000, you're still behind because you're not keeping up with inflation. Why? Because of your lid level. Your marriage is stuck. It keeps always being right there. It's the lid level. You have to ask yourself that question. And this particular law will help you begin to answer that particular question, whether you begin to understand it or not. The law of process. What are you doing daily? Then we covered the law of influence. Because all of us are influencing somebody for negative or positive. All of us influencing. And your ability to increase the influence, we'll find out that it is connected directly to this particular law process as well. What are you doing daily? Because it's the things that you are succeeding in, the things that you're failing in, that is increasing or decreasing your ability to influence. I said on last week that leadership is everything. We rise or we fall based on leadership. And I know that we like to think of it only as a singular. But when I think of leadership, I think of a team. Because I don't care how great you are as an individual, you're not excelled until you develop a team. I don't care whether you're in business, I don't care if you're in marriage. Why did marriage fail? Only because they're not a team. So when we say, and you put that and say, we got over here, we got Brother Marlon here, he's a male, and then all of a sudden now he's going to get married. We got Brother Erno, he's a male, also get married. And then the marriage failed. Then we say, it's you, because you're the leader. We blame you. Good, well, that ain't true every time. That men aren't the reason why a marriage failed. Sometimes a man can do everything he's supposed to do in a marriage, and the marriage still fail. Are you going to put that kind of guilt and that kind of thing on someone when you don't know the whole story? Are you going to put that kind of guilt on a woman that marriage failed because the man beating the crap out of her? Yes, we can put this one. We chose the person. And that's on us. Whether you male or female. That's your choice and your responsibility. You can't blame that on your creator. But the other side is people got choices. Because if you go by that, then God is the greatest failure there is. Because this world is far more influenced by other things other than God, I'm talking about the true and the living God, then he's the greatest failure. If you go by that, then you have to say, Yahshua the Messiah is the greatest failure. Why? Because he lived 3.5 years, and then his whole ministry got disrupted, and he died, and he couldn't even come back. Y'all know he came back, but he ended up leaving. And he's still not around. And that means that his ministry is a failure. Why? Because the majority of the world is influenced by more things than him. Because he's not the greatest influencer. Satan must be. And Satan must be the one who wins. If you believe that lie, then you don't understand kingdom. Satan doesn't win. No, nobody. Because here's the thing that you got to understand. Losing is sometimes winning. Let's make it personal. You're under a divorce. You won. We got my beloved daughter over here. Guess what? When she got divorced, she won. Sometimes it takes losing to really understand how to win. Sometimes failing teach you far more than any success could. And if you can understand that, then you found out that you won. You didn't lose, you won, but you couldn't see it. The world couldn't see it until you begin to understand what you learned from the process. We like to define success only one way, man's way. But we must train our minds to learn to look at success from a whole different perspective, a God's perspective. And if we don't learn to see success from a God perspective, we miss what true success is all about. I'm asking you a very important question. Who is the most successful person? The person who developed and trained Billy Graham to become who he is? Or Billy Graham who became well-known worldwide? I mean, he's a preacher and his name is on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Who's successful? The parents who placed the great values in the person who became successful, or the person that became successful. Think of the person who became successful, take away the parents that made them successful, and they're no longer successful. Everybody has their own calling. One is called to be unknown and to train the one that becomes well known. But they both are successful, or maybe one that's unknown is far more successful than the one that is, because of the one that's unknown, that is done everything 100% of what the Creator told him to do, but the one that's well known has only done 50% of what the Creator told him to do. It's the one that's in total obedience is the one that's the most successful, because that's what makes you successful in the kingdom, is being obedient to what he called you to do. Not what he hasn't called you to do, because there are some people that are very successful and the Creator ain't even called them to do it. There are folks that's preaching in the pulpit preach better than me, you, and any of us can ever do. And he never called them to do what they did. Just because you can do something don't mean he called you to do it. Some people are successful in business and the Almighty called them to preach, and some people are successful in ministry and he called them to be a businessman. And nobody's doing what he told them to do. And just because you're successful at something in this world doesn't mean it's success in the eyes of the Creator. And just because something looks like it's a failure in your mind doesn't mean it's a failure in the eyes of the Creator. We have to learn to open our eyes and see things the way the Creator sees it, no longer the way we see. Open our minds. But the law, the process. by understanding commitment along with being committed, devoted person to carrying out a task. Leadership is complicated. It has many facets: respect, experience, emotional strength, people skills, discipline, being responsible, vision, momentum, timing, character, personal integrity, being a good example, and the list goes on. That is why leaders require so much seasoning to be effective. This is why most of our most effective leaders are over 50 years old. And most of us begin feeling really comfortable around this age. This is why in biblical days, a person had to be at least 30 years old to be a rabbi, teacher, or pastor, public speaker. Man, it would be wonderful. We still had that in existence. And even though I was called to preach at 18, but boy, that would be wonderful that you could not become a public speaker until you were 30 years old. Man, it would eliminate so much of the crap that goes on in the church world. It would eliminate so many of our good, in terms of charisma, preachers who have no personal character to be able to keep themselves sexually. It would literally keep and put them on check if they could not enter, because it makes them have to wait and learn how to deal with themselves. Because here's the thing. I done preached in front of thousands, preached in front of one. Now for me, I like preaching in front of thousands so much better than one. But I will tell you this. When you begin to see the impact and the influence that you have, and you begin to see in terms of, because I'm not a preacher, I'm a teacher, but with those that do preach and they know how to manipulate and move a crowd, man, that's a powerful thing in a young man's mind. And when he began to think of himself, man, look at me. That's why the Bible says that you don't ordain a novice. At least they be lifted up with pride. Because old folk get lifted up with pride. What you think about somebody young and that's not experienced? You have to come to a place where you get seasoned, when you're not moved by crowds, you only move by the voice of the Almighty. It's no longer about that. It's about obedience to your Creator. And it takes time to learn that. And some people it takes even more time. And other people take even more time to learn the value and the importance of obedience. And when we talk about it's a process. I got my grandson over there and play ball. And I play ball, and I share with them. I say, because leadership is a process. It's not something that's done in a day. And, you know, when you really get serious about this game, so you come to me. I said, but I'm gonna tell you up front. If I tell you do things and you don't do them, I'm not telling you nothing else, because that tells me where your commitment is. Because if I give you things to do and you don't do it, I'm not going to waste my energy and time. Why? Because one of the worst things a parent can do is try to make their child or make their grandchild become who they want them to be. That's one of the worst things you can do. Now, we play, and I don't get to play like I normally do, you know, like when I was young. But he get to play. We were out there shooting, and I'll make mine. But he is on this road. You know, we play around the world and everything. And he's just banging. I said, man, I like he's in this little zone right here. You know how you get in a zone when you're in a real game under pressure? It's what you're doing daily, practicing. You know, when I would play ball and I would shoot, and I would up at Woodburn Junior High School, and that's no longer called Woodburn Junior High, to the corner, and the backboard is here, and so I would snip and get it deep in the corner, and then in order to make the ball, you got to snip. Just the ball got to barely just touch, because it got to hit the edge of that backboard in order to drop. Because if it's not touching the edge of that backboard, you'll miss that shot every time. And so I will get there and I will practice that thing, practice it until I would just barely just snip the edge of that backboard. And then the ball would just drop in. And then I would practice until it just mastered, till I mastered, just daily, just out there, just when nobody's around, when nobody's looking. I was just out there mastering it. And then all of a sudden when the crowd is out there and I get over in that corner and I get back and I pull back and I say, and they say, oh man, that's luck. And I come back again, I go over in that corner again, I go, oh man, that's luck. And I say, oh, you think it's luck? I come back and then I do it again. Until they start calling it luck. Why? Because it's what you do when nobody's around that prepares you to do the greatness of what you do when people are around. It's the same thing in basketball. It's the same thing when it comes to walking your walk with the Creator. Becoming one of my sheroes is my own wife. Watching her 8 years ago, and I live with her, and I've seen all of the immaturities and everything over all the years. And then she made a commitment to start fast, and she made a commitment every single once a week. She started fast. I had practiced that when I was 18 years old when I got saved. She's learning to do it late in life, but she began to start fast. Once I would do it 3 times a week, But she would just do it, and she started off. It was just difficult because she loved to eat. She was splurging. She got her wonderful taste buds for all sorts of stuff. And yes, it's variety. It's the spice of life. And I'm just simple. I'm just simple. I'm gonna tell you how simple I is. One of my favorite. Listen, y'all. I know you ain't gonna like this, but one of my favorite meals is just beans and hot dogs. I'm just a simple person, just beans and hot dogs, man, but you do got to put a little sugar in there, you take the sugar out there. All right, but, and you need to, y'all need that little sugar in there for other reasons. Y'all know that, right? All right, if you don't know, for those who don't know better, you need a little sugar in there to kill the gas, because that's why you just, I know you're not a gas station, but it just seemed like you just want to you're providing all kind of gas people don't want. So it helps cut that gas in there, so you don't be just lighting up the place, telling people how much you love them. Yeah, some of y'all don't know about that, but some of y'all do know, about different people, in your lives who do it, because they would say all kind of stuff to you, anything to get by, for doing so. But anyhow, so it's the same thing dealing with football. Those are the football lovers. It's what you do, and I played football. It's what you do, constantly. And one of the things that made me a tough running back was, listen carefully, that when I would start out, because I would play for recreation centers. Back then we had a lot of recreation centers. Today we don't have them in the inner city. And back then, instead of AAU, it was BNBL basketball that was the most popular thing around. And it was more popular than going to a particular school. And so I used to play in those leagues. And so you get to play against the best, and then same thing. And then with football, and you get to play. And one of the things that toughened me is that when everybody else is, when they, you on the ground and you lift your feet up 6 inches off the ground and you spread them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. That's what they help develop all those apex. And everybody be faking them. They be counting out. They be saying 1, 2, but the feet staying on the ground. You be watching them. And but I would do it. So you develop your toughness in terms of your abs, and then all of the other particular things that do. But this is one of the things that really toughened me. I would literally hit Marlon, hit Deacon Dominic, hit Deuce, hit whoever's on the team. I would hit them, and I had no pads on until they would actually cut Those pads on sometimes will cut, cause a bleed, but yet and still were tough. So that way, when you did have the pads on, you was almost unstoppable because you toughen yourself up. Well, you can take a lot. And when you do hit somebody, you knock the wind out of them. But you find ways to toughen, and it's what you do when nobody's around. It's what you do daily when nobody's around. Why are you where you're at spiritually? It's what you're doing when nobody's around. That's determine who you are when you're in front of everybody. Because you can put on a fake front, but it only can last for so long. But the reality is what you do when nobody's around. As my grandson get ready to go off to college, it's what you're doing. Because you really serious about sports, or you serious about, sports medicine, whatever. It's what you're doing. If all you want to do is, okay, I want sports medicine, but then you want to parlay. If I want sports medicine, but you want to hang around other people. If you're not willing to forsake folk in order to pursue what's inside of you, doing those things daily, then you won't succeed at what you do. And if you do, you won't be the best. Because it's not about just being a sports medicine doctor. It's about being the best. And it's what you're doing daily. Look at somebody say, it's what I'm doing daily. It's preparing me for my tomorrow. So what are you doing daily? What are you doing daily? What are you doing daily about your marriage? It's preparing your marriage for tomorrow. What are you doing daily financially? It's about your financial tomorrow. What are you doing daily spiritually? It's about what is going to help affect your spirituality on tomorrow. What you're doing daily in regard to how you deal with kids determines the future of your own children. What are you doing daily in regard to your local assembly, affecting the outcome in the future of your local assembly? What are you doing daily in regard to your nation, your government is affecting who we are as a nation? Because it's what we're doing daily is impacting the outcome. It's what other folk done daily has affected us today as a nation. It was what your parents were doing daily that impacted you. Leadership is a process. Yes, some people born with some giftings, but those giftings still have to be developed that they already had. Even if no more than learning how to utilize the gift effectively. If no more than learning how to get some character to go with the gift that you have in order to be effective as a leader. Leadership is about what are you doing? Why did it take you so long to get where you at? It was what you was doing daily. Because where you at, you realized you could have got here sooner. But why could you couldn't there sooner? It was what you was doing daily that was hitting you from getting there sooner. If you're going to follow the crowd, you following that crowd daily, then that's just going to be the future and success of you is dealing with following the crowd. But if you're going to be a person that creates your own beat, that you're going to rise and you're going to become the leader of that crowd, then you got to be different from the crowd. Because if all you're doing is following the crowd, then you're not the leader, you're the follower. But if you're willing to stand out and be different, then people can look at you, respect the successes of what you do, and then they begin to follow that success because that success, whatever that level of success is, that is influence. Why do drug dealers influence our inner city communities and even in our county so effectively? Because they are successful what they do. And it really influences others because of the success. Why do other people end up having a bad taste in their mouth about this, that person, it's because of the failures. And as that failure was so big until it ended up influencing others negatively. Because influence goes both ways, negative, positive. The law process goes both ways. If you master how to shoot the ball wrong, you have mastered how to shoot the ball wrong. But if you master how to shoot the ball the right way, then you will be consistent with your shot and you have mastered how to shoot it right. If you mastered how to maintain a negative attitude while you play, you mastered how to maintain a negative attitude. But if you master how to maintain a right attitude, then you mastered how to maintain a right attitude. The key is, what are you doing daily? Ask somebody that question. Say, what are you doing daily? Come on, just ask them again. Because that power of consistency in what you're doing daily allows the power of the success of your future. But I don't want you to think that you can do all of the right things and the enemy will still try to hold you back. Life will still try to hold you back. But what I am trying to tell you, because you've learned how to not let life and circumstance, situation hold you back, that even though things will try to hold you back, it can't hold you back because you can't be held back. Because it's not about how soon you get there. Because a lot of people become very popular and don't maintain it. They were popular yesterday, but you don't know who they are today. They were wealthy yesterday, but you don't know who they are today. But you were constantly rising up slowly and consistently and maintaining your success. And I'm telling you, being successful over the long haul is far better than having a short one. And where that comes from? Thank you. Where did it come from? Yeah, so what are you doing daily? No one says, what are you doing daily? Because you get ready to move into manhood. You get ready to graduate right out of school, go right in it. So what are you doing daily? It determines the outcome about your life. So many of us, do you know that so many, not all of us, but so many of us, what we were doing daily in high school, it determined our success once we left school. And we never were able to move beyond the dailiness of what we did in high school or middle school. Back in our day, it was junior high school. But others, it was what they were doing daily in elementary school and continue on in junior high or middle school and continue on doing it in high school that allowed them to be very successful at what they did in life, only because they had a picture of what they wanted to do and they started moving at it daily. But the other thing is, for some of us, is learn how to translate things that we were successful at and translate the principles over to another area of life that has nothing to do with what we were doing and what we were successful at. Basketball became short-lived for me because I became crippled with rheumatoid arthritis at 16 years old. It killed my basketball aspirations all over my body, my feet. She couldn't get my shoes on, my hands, my back, everything. So sometimes it would get so bad until I literally, because I love the game so much, I would try to go out and play. And then I literally, and I ain't gonna sit here and lie to you, I would not even exaggerate it. I literally ended up having to get on my knees and crawl back because my body just so, I couldn't, I just, because it just so out of it. Because it was very difficult for me to go from being able to lift 105 pounds with left or right hand to now it's so hard to barely can lift a 5-pound bag of sugar. And even though that I did not get the privilege to go to college or do anything with basketball, literally had to end up dropping out of school because I had to make a decision. Because life was kicking my behind so bad, I had to make a decision whether to eat or go to school. And I felt like no child should have that kind of decision. We got to make a choice. You got to eat or go to school, because our social service program, our government, said if I go to school, they can't feed me. The only way that they can help me, I would have to leave school. I said, no way. But boy, when you get hungry enough, it's amazing how it gets you to change some things to the way you're doing. And this darling woman of mine, at this time I was dealing with her, and she would tell me what places I can go, because I had no clue, because I've never had to deal with that. I was a teenager. I didn't even know how to catch the bus. You know why? Because I had older brothers and sisters. They drove me everywhere I had to go. And when I had to go to school, all they do is get on the bus right in front, down the street from my house. And I never had to catch the bus. She taught me how to catch the bus. When I got 16, I had my own cars. I drove myself everywhere I wanted to go. Man, you kind of like, you spoiled in that particular area, but you didn't have to worry about any of that. But I knew there's something that's not right about that. No child should have to make a decision between eating and going to school. No child. But when you get to travel all over this world, you get to see that there's a lot of kids making far stronger and harder decisions than I had to do. Man, what I went through was mild compared to what they had to go through. When you get to travel and you get to hear all the stories around this world, you start thanking God for your life and the way it was. You know, yeah, it was bad, but it wasn't, you know, because there's one thing is that you can't go to school and nor can you eat. But you make a decision. And I thank God for sports. Sports taught me everything about life, because I was able to take it and translate it from the court, from the football field, the basketball field, from the baseball field. And I was good in all three, made the all-star team in all three sports. When I played, I could hit, I could swing, I could left hand or right hand, it didn't matter. And I was good both. I was better right-handed than left-handed, but I could hit both ways. Because if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna be good at it. And I learned to take those principles and translate them over into my walk with God. And when I got saved, I knew, okay, listen, y'all, because some of y'all been in church all your life and everything, and you never took this thing serious. I came to know God at 18 years old, when I knew, and I did not like reading. But if I'm going to serve this God, I need to know what he's all about. And so I became a nerd for the first time in my life, because all I was concerned about was basketball. I wasn't concerned about nothing. All I did was just, I didn't study. I didn't do anything. I did my homework, and I still got good grades. I never got below math, an A. The worst I would get is A+. You know, in English, I got B+. I didn't study. All I wanted to do was just play sports. That's all I wanted to do. But when that thing died, struggling with arthritis for 2 years before God divinely healed me. Those 2 years were very powerful years for me. I was suicidal, all those other particular things. But the thing that most important about it, that it taught me more than anything, those 2 years, when God divinely healed me, it made me understand I need to give him my life. It was no longer about basketball. This man gave me my life back. The least I can do is give him my life. Because without him divinely healing me, I would never been able to do much of nothing with my children, because it was taking me, by the time I was getting near to being close to going to the wheelchair. But it was the daily things through sports that taught me the value of what I need to do daily in regard to my walk with God. So I know I had some issues. See, the difference between me, when I came to God, I knew I was messed up. The problem with so many of us, we don't know we messed up, but I knew I was messed up. And because I knew I was messed up, that made me sink in and say, God, what are the things and the disciplines I need to create in order so I can not be messed up? Because I knew I was messed up. I knew I was a wounded soul with so much hurt, pain, and anger inside. It's what we do daily. So fasting became part of my daily regimen 3 times a week. Feeding on the word daily became part of my regimen. Praying daily became a part of my regimen. Praying at certain times, 4, 5, 6 hours, nonstop, consistent. I'm anchoring, because this is what I did when I played sports. I would sit there and I would practice for hours. The same thing, repetition. Just practice, repetition. Repetition. Look at the repetition of gossip. Now, even though you don't want to gossip, it's hard to stop. Why? Look at the repetition of negativity. Now that you don't even want to be negative, it's hard to stop it. Why? Because of repetition. And I'm going to tell you something. Bad habits are hard to break. Easy one. Good habits are easy to break. You can do good habits for years and you can break them like that. But bad habits, they're not easy to break. You got to want to break them. But what got you there? Repetition. Repetition. If you really want to change, you have to immerse yourself into the thing that you want to change in. That's why I believe in immersing myself in the word. That's why, when we do convocations, we end up doing that. I know a lot of people, but because it's the only thing going to change you is the word. And it's sitting on it consistently, making yourself sit and hear it. And even though it can be tiresome to your body, but guess what? It'll bring life, your spirit. It'll bring your spirit to life. I ain't talking about any kind of word. I'm talking about good word. Repetition. Deacon Dominic and Brother Levi, when they're growing up, I'll always make sure that they're in church. Brother Robbie. Why? Repetition. Even when they play sports, you can't miss the main service. You can't miss. Whether it was on Sunday or Saturday, you can't miss. Why? You want to create repetition. So that when they grow up and they move away from you and get their own life as they done, that habit will always be in there, pulling at their brain. I used to be in church every week. It started pulling. Some, it deals with them a little slower than others, and others pull a little faster, but it's all pulled. Why? Because of the establishment of what? Repetition. It's a powerful thing, y'all. Just because you are a great speaker does not make you a great leader, unless you have great leaders running everything and they guide, counsel you, and you're speaking to. That's go for especially young preachers. If they have some older, mature folk there for them. Every one of us has a God, Elohim ordained process we must go through in order to become the leader Yahweh wants for our lives. Proverbs 17:3, James 1:2-3, Living Bible. 1:2-3-4, Living Bible. Leadership must go through the fire of suffering and tests and not get stuck or burned up in them. We're still referring to the same verses. Say that with me. Say, leadership must go through the fire. All right, now let's remember these are universal principles. If you can open your mind and look at the universe, marriages must go through the fire. Singleness must go through the fire. Being a great business person, you got to go through the fire. Because if you don't go through the fire, you'll never become a great business person. You'll never become, I don't care whatever it is, whether you're dealing with churches, whether you're dealing with society, whatever. There's a fire everybody got to experience and go through. And when you go through, you got to come out. You got to come out of that fire without being burned up. Because that fire can make you bitter. That fire can make you a whole lot of things. That fire coming out, and you still got still got little specks of fire on you, and smoke is still on you. You're smoking. The fire, you're still smoking. Because you still gone through the fire of that divorce, and you're still smoking. The fire of that bad experience in church, and you're still smoking. When you recognize your lack of skill and begin the daily discipline of personal growth and leadership, exciting things begin to happen. Become a leader is like investing successfully in the stock market. If your hope is to make a fortune in a day, you're not going to be successful. As long as a person doesn't know what he doesn't know, he doesn't grow. To be conscious that you are ignorant of the facts is a great step of knowledge. Benjamin Disraeli, he also states the secret of success is life is for a man to be ready for his time when it comes. The secret of your future is hidden in your daily routine. That's Mike Murdoch. Champions don't become champions in the ring. They are merely recognized there. Meaning this, what made Muhammad Ali, that's my, the one I love greatly as a boxer. I know we got Sugar Ray. I loved him too, the middleweight, because he was just a little miniature Muhammad Ali. But Muhammad Ali, what made him great? It was what he did outside the ring that prepared him for when he got in the ring. It's what we do daily. What are we doing daily? Your marriage is struggling. What are you doing daily? You're doing things to take the struggle out, or you're doing things to keep it there. Financially, you're struggling. What are you doing daily? You're doing things to create success financially for yourself, or you're doing things to hinder it. What are you doing daily? On your spiritual life, what are you doing daily? You don't pray, you don't feed on the word, you barely come to church like you ought to, but yet and still you want to become a spiritual giant. It don't work like that. When we want growth for anything, what are we doing daily? It's what we do daily determines our future. Those of you that are not married, but you're involved with one another, what are you doing daily? Because what you're doing daily before you get married, you better learn how to do that after you get married. Because what it took for you to get them, you got to keep doing that after you got them. Oh, you put yourself in check and you hid some things. You know, you felt this way, but you kept your check because you want to make sure that you marry them. After you get married, you better hold on to that too. Because since you never revealed it, don't reveal it. Oh, now we married, so now I can let them. No, hold that. You held it before you got married. Hold it now that you are married. Because it's that thing that you hid. Now that you reveal it, it'll kill it. Are you listening to me? Let us grow. Let us grow. Let us grow.
Let's give Dr. Webb and the Almighty a hand. Amen. Amen. He dropped a lot of jewels there. I hope y'all when y'all come, do y'all bring y'all pen and y'all pencil? Yes, sir. Y'all pen and y'all pen. I gotta just repeat a few things that he said, man, because I'm telling you, it was worth the price of admission.